Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this new episode of Sartorial Talks. Winter is coming, at least in Europe, I know also in America, in many parts of the world, and this is why we decided to dedicate a full episode on the subject of overcoats. The subject of overcoats is not as simple as it may sound, because after all, an overcoat is a piece of garment that you put over your coat or over your suit or over whatever you are wearing to keep you warm. But we receive a lot of questions about the different styles and the different types of classic overcoats, because some of you seem to have a confusion between all the appellations, and there are a lot of different appellations, as it is always the case in men's style. And what I propose to you today is to try to decipher the appellation and to explain to you what are, according to Sonia and me, according to us, the most interesting styles in terms of overcoats. One little detail, in the UK, and I think even in America, they even go as far as to have 3 appellations possible for the same coat. They speak, for example, about overcoats, which is the normal overcoat. Sometimes they call it a top coat, and sometimes they call it a great coat. In a few words, what they call an overcoat is just a normal coat to protect you from the outside weather. What they call a top coat is the same thing, except it's slightly lighter in terms of fabric, and sometimes it can even be worn as a body coat, that is to say without jacket. And then the great coat is what we would call a heavy duty coat, that is to say something thicker. This semantic precision aside, let's step in our subject now. And behind me I have, it's part of my personal collection of coats. Most of them have several years of wear, and so I really want to go into the detail of each coat so that you can take away from this episode all you need to know, or at least sufficient information and, more important, inspiration that will help you make the right acquisition for your next overcoat for this winter. And we're going to start immediately with a coat that many of you have seen me wearing, specifically during the winter Petit Womo. This is this first coat. So this first coat, it happens to be in cashmere, it can be in wool, it can be in many different things. One thing what is important about coats is that the 3 things you can play with when you choose a coat is, first of all, the length. Some coats will be just above the knee or at the knee level, and some other coat will be longer. You can play on the buttoning. It can be single-breasted or double-breasted. And you can also play, as I just explained you, on the thickness of the material that you use. So when I asked Lorenzo Cifonelli to create this coat for me, my idea was to make the most simple or the simplest overcoat ever. That is to say, I didn't want any complication, I didn't want any detailing, I didn't want all of this. I wanted just a simple overcoat that I can wear in many different kind of occasions, and which will be slightly over the knee. Nothing specific about it, flap on the pockets, and you can see at the back, nothing special. You will see on other coats that some of them has very specific features, but this one is just a plain, simple with a vent, central vent. So this is, for me, the epitome of a simple overcoat that you can wear in many occasions. And the fact that it is so adjusted allows me sometimes also to wear this overcoat without a jacket. For example, above a turtleneck or a mock neck. It works very well because it's kind of adjusted. You can, of course, still wear it above a suit or a sport jacket, but it can also be worn both ways because it's an adjusted, simple overcoat by Lorenzo Cifonelli in Paris. So one advice immediately. At the beginning of this show, I explained to you that you can play on the length of the coat. For example, this coat that I just showed you, as you saw, was at the knee length, or just above the knee. Okay, one rule that you should consider. If you are short in stature, it's advised to buy coats that are above the knee or at the knee level. Because if you buy a coat which is longer, and I will show you some models that are longer, it will not fit you very well, because if you are short, it will make your legs look even shorter. So one rule of thumb, if you are short, try to wear overcoats above the knee or at the knee level maximum. It will help really elongate your silhouette. Now let's move to the second coat, which is one of my favorite, which is the very famous Polo Coat. So this is a beautiful Polo Coat. This one is double-breasted, has been made for me by the brothers Ciardi from the house Renato Ciardi in Napoli. Hello Roberto, hello Enzo, these are good friends of mine, magnificent tailors. This one is also a pure cashmere, beautiful cashmere. And a Polo Coat comes from the game the polo, which as you know is played with horses. And this kind of coat has a specificity is that it's what we call a loose-fitting coat. That is to say, it's very loose-fitting, it's very comfortable, it's very wide, and it was used by the polo players in between sessions when they were recuperating, having a break, not to get cold, so they would putting this polo coat above their polo outfit. Originally, it was used to be used with a belt, but now we do polo coats without belts, and they are beautiful. So this one has a lot of different particularities. So of course, as you can see, this is a pique lapel. So it's you can immediately see that this one is larger than this one, because a polo coat is meant to be a little bit loose fit. That is to say that you can really be super comfortable on it, you can button it, you can unbutton it. It's a very easy to wear coat. But all the details are also at the back. Look at this marvel that has been made by Charlie. Of course, this is a bespoke coat. It's all made by hand. And I don't know if the camera can catch this very well, but it's very important that you see, this is what we call in French martingale. I think they call martingale in Italian also. I think you call it a half belt in English. And it has these three pleats. So I'm not sure you can have this in ready to wear, but look at this quality of the pleats and the work, typical of a polo coat. And there's buttons at the back, you know, you can button or unbutton. This is very refined coat and very beautiful one. And it's, so it's a version of a polo coat, of course. Not all the polo coats have all these features with the half belt and the buttoning at the back. But remember one thing with the polo coat, who might be, according to me, the most versatile overcoat you can buy. It's beautiful, specifically when it's double-breasted. You can also have it single-breasted, but most of the time is double-breasted. And this is a coat that you will use to get warm. It can be very beautiful if you go outside for dinner. It can be used in many different occasions, and this is why I adore my polo coat by the house of Ciardi. So let's continue now with close cousin of the polo coat, which is called the Ulster Coat. So I suppose that Ulster comes from the country Ulster, which is Northern Ireland, so it was probably invented there. And the difference between the two, so there's some style difference, but the main difference, this is an Ulster coat, a beautiful Ulster coat made by our good friend, the late Luigi Dal Cuore in Napoli. It may sound like an oxymoron to say Ulster coat made in Napoli, because Napoli is more well known for second skin jacket, very comfortable. And this is a Fox Brother wool, heavy wool. I have no idea. It's probably, I would say, 700, 800, maybe 900 grams. It may be close to bulletproof. I'm joking, but that's a very, very, very thick and very warm overcoat. So it's an Ulster coat. An Ulster coat, let's say in one word, the difference between a polo coat and an Ulster coat is that an Ulster coat most of the time is what we could call a heavy-duty coat. As you can see immediately here, it's very strong wool. It's, you know, you can use this one. I believe that this coat will survive me, because of the quality of the wool. This is almost indestructible. So if you need something that you really want to wear a lot, that you really want to go into some really cold weather, I think an Ulster coat might be your choice. One thing in terms of style that you may immediately see, you see the difference between this one and this one. The lapels are totally different. This one looks more like a peak lapel, so it's a little bit more, I would say, suited up. It's a little bit more formal. It's a little bit more, I will not say elegant, because this one can be supremely elegant, but it's a little bit more classic. This one has some military, probably, heritage, and you can see most of the time on the Ulster coats, the notch either is straight, or even it can bend downwards a little bit like that, that give all this personality, strange personality, interesting personality to this Ulster coat. One more thing that you find often on the Ulster coat are the patch pocket. You see, it's not exactly a patch pocket, it's a mix between a patch pocket with a flap inside, so it's very beautiful. And also on the Ulster coat normally you have cuffs, you know, on the sleeves, which is a very specific feature on an Ulster coat. Same thing on the back, most of the time. Look at this marvel. It's also made with a half belt here and with splits. And this one, look at this. The Dalquore Sartorial went as far as to put buttoning up to almost the top, the middle of the back, which is beautiful tailoring gesture. So this is my Ulster coat. I only have one. Oh, I have another one actually that you may or may not know. It's my famous. When I say famous, it's because for the people who are following us on Sartorial Talks, you probably have seen. I received so many requests on this red overcoat by Belvest. It is also an Ulster coat. And I can tell, Sonia can tell you that I've been wearing this red coat in any situation, even if the flight attendant put her hands on the overhead bin and, you know, literally touch I don't care with this kind of wool because it's very, very sturdy and it will last a long time. So this is the Ulster coat, and this is something you may consider if you want something really, really sturdy that will keep you warm even in some extreme weather condition. Now let's move to the fourth models, always from my collection. And so as you can immediately see, this one is immediately more formal. It's more formal for different reasons. It's called a Chesterfield overcoat. So it's coming from the Earl of Chesterfield back in the years, you know, everything is pretty much coming from the UK in this area of men's style. But a Chesterfield coat has a few features. So it's a night coat. Well, you can wear it during the day. Nobody's going to send you in prison if you wear a Chesterfield during the day. But still, normally, if you are sensitive to the rules of etiquette, a Chesterfield is typically a coat that you will wear at night. Look at that. Imagine this over a tuxedo, over a smoking jacket, or you go to the opera, or you take your wife to a great dinner, and then after this you go to see a theater piece. This is typically the kind of overcoat that you will wear. This one is in pure cashmere. The fabric is from Loro-Piana cashmere, and this one has been made by our friend at Caraceni, Caraceni via Fate Bene Fratelli in Milano, Carlo Andreacchio and Max Caraceni, the father and the son. Great tailoring house, and they did this Chesterfield for me years ago. I've been wearing it a lot. So 2 or 3 features on the Chesterfield. First of all, very distinctive feature is this velvet color. All Chesterfield overcoat have this velvet color that brings immediately some kind of an idea of formality, an idea of, you know, real classic style and the respect of the etiquette. This is in this little detail that you can immediately see if somebody knows what he's doing in terms of men's styles. You can have it single-breasted, Personally, I prefer, as you know, I'm a little bit addict with double-breasted even for my suit. But it is most of the time in the dark colors, gray, dark gray, or even black. This one is gray and black with a chevron motif, which is absolutely beautiful in cashmere. And it has simple flap pockets. And at the back, unlike the Ulster Coat and the Polo Coat, it has nothing, just like the first overcoats or chiffonnier, just a vent in the middle. And this one is way, way, way under the knee. So this is why it is immediately more formal in the feeling, because it goes really down under your knee to give this night at the opera feeling. We're going to move to the last, not the last style of coat, because there's so many others and I will list them. I will list a few others at the end of this show. But the last I wanted to present to you today. So we went from the normal overcoat to the Polo Coat to the Ulster Coat to the Chesterfield Coat, and now we have this one. Okay, so you can see this one has been worn a little bit more than the others. It's not totally perfect now because I wear this a lot. It's a pea coat. So, well, everybody understands that a pea coat immediately is a shorter overcoat, of course. And I never wear it above a jacket. I always wear it with a turtleneck, with a mock neck, with a sweater, or even with a shirt. But I don't wear it over a coat or a jacket or a suit. It's something for me which is more casual. It comes from the Navy originally. It's always double-breasted with a lot of buttoning. This one is in cashmere. It has been made for me by the late Pasquale Sabino in Napoli, exactly in Casal Nuovo di Napoli. If you live in the USA, I know that Michele Sabino, the son of Pasquale Sabino, who is also a tailor, very good tailoring family, they have an office in New York City, and they visit a lot New York for fittings, etc. It's just, if you are interested in this pea coat, this is from Sartorial Sabino in Casal Nuovo di Napoli. So a pea coat is quite standard in the features. Always double-breasted, always a lot of buttoning. This one has patch pocket with flaps, and you have these side pockets, which are typical from a pea coat. So this one, and also the thing is that more when it's really cold, a pea coat has been made so that you can close it, and with a button you can really button it. You can see here, you see, oh, that's an interesting detail. Oh, you see these little dots here that you can see? It means that this pea coat has been made by hand. Because this is the way you can see here, this is how the canvas inside has been hand sewn. It's a very interesting. So if you want to see, it's a little trick. It was not planned in my show, but when I see this, if you want to see if a jacket or an overcoat is really made by hand, just look behind the lapel and you will see this pop, 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 little dots like that. That makes you sure that you are talking of a high level and really properly made overcoat. So that's the pea coat for me. It's more casual. This is something I wear easily to go to groceries. You still look good. I like to wear this with a scarf, you know, that around the neck, and it gives you style. That is to say, this is typically the kind of coat that even if you want to be more casual, or if you are in a more casual setting, you can still have some style and some flair while being very comfortable. Needless to say, you can wear this very easily with a denim or with a jean. So here we are for part of my personal collection of coats and the coat that I prefer in terms of style. However, there are many different kinds of coats, and I suppose that many of you in front of your screen are waiting, said, why don't Hugo speak about a trench coat? And you would be right, because a trench coat is one of the most famous coats specifically for the rainy day. So a trench coat is made specifically with a material that is water repellent and will protect you from the rain. I'm not a big fan of that because, well, between you and me, I prefer a beautiful umbrella than having a trench coat. But it's just a matter of taste. The trench coat comes, I didn't know that, come from the World War I and the infamous trenches in which the soldiers were most of the time spending sometimes month and month literally in a very difficult position. And the idea of this coat was to be, of course, waterproof, or at least protect the man from the rain, but also it had a lot of pockets in order for the soldier to put as many ammunitions on them as they can carry, just for the little story. So trench coat, of course, is very important to have in your wardrobe. Once again, I'm not a big fan of trench coat, but it's just my personal taste. Then you have also the famous Duffle coat. I don't know if you've seen a Duffle coat. We'll show you some pictures. The Duffle coat is normally with a hoodie. It's a bit more casual. It's more countryside coat with a special attachment with little straps for the buttoning. So it's with a hoodie. It's called the Duffle coat. It's not my style, but some people love it. I can understand if you are younger, or if you're not really into classic style, but you like the style of a beautiful coat that can be worn in different occasions. A Duffle coat can be a good option. You have the Loden. So Loden, I remember when I was young, I was fascinated by this. People wearing their green Loden with an inverted pleat in the back. Well, a Loden is not a name normally, originally is not the name of a coat, it's the name of a fabric that is made in the Tyrol in Germany and Austria. And it's an interesting coat that normally is a single-breasted with an inverted pleat on the back. For me, it was the picture of the, I would say, we call it in France, the bourgeoisie. So the good society in Paris, the classic people, when I was young, were wearing all of them Loden coats. Most of the time they are green, but not only. So it's another model that you can, very, very, very classic. Maybe a little bit slightly too classic for me, the Loden coat. And then you have another one, or it's not exactly a coat, it's the way the sleeve is attached. We call it a raglan overcoat, which is, well, in one word, we're going to show you a picture. Instead of having the sleeve attached here, the sleeve goes all the way to the neck, so that it creates a fluid line here with no accident. It's called a raglan. One more time, not my personal taste, but there are some beautiful raglan coats out there. And the last thing I would like to share with you, I know our friend Michael Brown on Savile Row used to work for and with Joe Morgan previously, not specialized, but did recently a lot of what we call body coats. And so a body coat, I told you that this first coat, this overcoat from Chesterfield, from time to time, I was wearing it without a jacket, just with a sweater or with a turtleneck. But still, it's not a body coat because it has not been designed specifically for that. I can wear it like that because it's sufficiently adjusted. A body coat, it's something that has to be worn without a jacket, directly on a shirt or directly on a sweater. And Michael Brown is doing some beautiful ones, and they are long. It is a modern interpretation of the frock coat that, of course, the nobles were wearing and all the good society was wearing in white tie settings, for example. And I like this idea of wearing a coat directly on the body without a jacket in the middle. Okay, it's immediately, the one Michael Brown is producing are quite long. Other people are doing it now. They can be a little bit shorter, but I like this idea. Okay, it's not for everybody. I will probably do one for myself soon because I like this idea, but it's immediately more precious. It's a different feeling. It has to be adjusted and it can be supremely elegant. But it's, if you are at the beginning of your sartorial path, go with the first thing first. Buy yourself a nice overcoat. If you like the Polo Coat style and looseness and comfort, you can go for that. You can buy an Ulster Coat if you really want to be protected from the outside temperature, and also a coat on which with sufficiently thick material that you can use it in many different settings without taking too much care of it. If you are going outside a lot and you want to have something more formal, you can go for a Chesterfield. And of course, for every day, well, I can tell you, my wife can testify, I'm wearing this Pea Coat, which is in cashmere, but still it's a simple Pea Coat almost every day when I go outside to do groceries. I don't have time to shoot up to go and buy a baguette or a croissant, of course, so I often use this Pea Coat. So here we are. I hope this little review of the different styles of overcoat has been useful to you. As usual, don't hesitate to comment, to ask your questions if you like to have precision or more information or more advice on which type of overcoat will be good for you. And in the meantime, I give you an appointment to the next episode of Sartorial Talks. Keep warm and be well. Bye-bye, my friends.